Okay, hello, Super Monkey Ball. So I was thinking about how the words wrap around the surfaces that we're dealing with. So, for example, in the case of the banana, the advertising words don't wrap around the banana, but they sort of maybe imply that. In that, if you wrap words around something, it will create a wrapper. So the words will eventually wrap around themselves um, in order to reach, a sort of a union between themselves, in a sense. When the letters fall from the sky in the ending sequence, they create all these different patterns that you can move around. The monkey ball person can move through those letters, so to speak. And letters create a sort of a wrapper in this way. The big banana house at the end is made out of a lot of individual objects that fell from the sky. The magical ball that you're wearing, that guides you on these adventures, wraps around you and was given to you by, I think, the god of bananas or something. And this little banana house at the end is made of individual bananas that then have letters that wrap around them. So the first letter in that sequence will eventually be the last letter. They will meet at a certain point. I would add on to that the bananas on that little house, the words wrap around them, and in the bonus level after you win the game, I think it's not the bonus level, but that level where you select your name, the words wrap around, the letters, so to speak, wrap around. What is interesting about this game? I'm not really sure. What's interesting about this game, I think, is this issue of letters. Letters are wrapping around things in this game, or wrapping around things. And things then become protective surfaces, right? The building of a house, the walls of a house that protect the inside are wrapped around with letters. Letters wrap around something. Ai's little balloon, the monkey ball, is in a sense protective. It is presented that way by the manual in Japanese. It protects Ai on these adventures, and it is made of language in the sense that it is, a magical spell, that some words that are given, rained down by the god from the sky upon Ai by a dream, I think from the sky as well, explicitly. So something about that I think I find interesting. Words fall from the sky and create structures of protection. With these structures of protection, then, Ai can travel further to places he couldn't go before. His goal is to go to banana heaven, rise up into the sky. In a sense, you could say maybe that Ai is trying to get up there, but he needs words. Words fall from up there and allow him to go up there. It's like the words allow him to do that, but by wrapping around into a surface, the words and the letters maybe even need to wrap around and create an overall kind of surface. Again, yeah, like a surface. that you can then travel with? Why is a surface necessary to travel? Why is a structure necessary to travel? It feels as if, in a sense, AI wouldn't be able to travel through these worlds without something that wraps around him that would give him the stability necessary to travel through these places. Why is this interesting, right? Well, why is it interesting to look at this, at this game in this way? I think because there are these structures themselves in the game, made of language, made of words. The menu screen, the way the buttons are shaped, the way the letters exist on AI's t-shirt, so to speak. And they make a sort of a structure that you, the player, can look at and find some sort of interesting structure in, some aesthetic kind of experience in, so to speak. And the aesthetic experience, so beauty then, if beauty is to be perceived in structure, I think beauty itself kind of elevates you to a different sphere where you can perceive, whatever, the good and the true in different ways. So there is a way in which maybe analyzing the structures themselves of the games elevates you, the player, as the structures of language elevate I, the character, also the player, throughout the game. You become united in this strange way. Your ideal words and AI's ideal words become one. In a sense, you're on the same journey together. It's just that the different kinds of words and the different kinds of structures that you're traveling through and using as tools to your advantage are the same, but expressed in completely different ways. On AI's side, they're expressed in 3D vector graphics or polygon graphics or whatever. They're expressed in these 3D graphics that literally represent these structures on the screen, whereas for us, the structures themselves are being expressed by these vector graphics, but then interpreted by our experience almost as thoughts and wills, our will to beat a specific puzzle or to focus on the beauty of a specific level, the ingeniousness of a certain structure in the game, a certain whatever dialogue, or the creativity of something about a name, a picture, something, right? Everything in the game, in a sense, holds together. You could say it wraps together in this sense. The aesthetic quality of the game creates itself a structure where everything fits. Everything wraps together in a sense. The first letter and the last letter, the smallest detail and the biggest detail all go together. You've got the buttons on the menu, you've got the t-shirt with the A on it. Everything is part of the same aesthetic structure. You couldn't take one single piece out without the whole thing collapsing. The way that the banana house at the end, for example, collapses just upon, you move one banana out of that little house of cards and the whole Jenga tower kind of collapses. The bananas are made in a sequence. The house is built through one letter being put next to the next letter, next to the next, and none of them are superfluous, even if they seem like it. The junkiest, most boring, stupid details in this game, the menu screen, the grey outlines of a specific border that is used to separate information on a table of contents, the grey surface on a floor that separates two different thresholds on a level, the welcome dialogue, the welcome extravaganza celebration whenever you win or something. Any detail like that is all part of the same structure. It is all Super Monkey Ball. There is no Super Monkey Ball without the stupid details, without the really important details. The big mechanics are just as important as the silly little mechanics. Important in the sense here that important, I guess I simply mean part, in my experience at least, of the same structure. You can't kind of comprehend one without comprehending the others, or you can't appreciate the game without all of its pieces being together. The game would be different if any of those pieces changed. It forms as a sort of kaleidoscope kind of shape. You change something and it would be a completely different panorama, so to speak. Okay, I'm speaking way too much, saying too many words. So, bye. Okay, bye. Goodbye. Oh, shit.